Recording in progress.
Namaste everyone.
Namaste. Yes, sir. We can start.
Yeah. We'll say the prayer. हमें अपने मन को हमेशा संतुलित रखना है. इसी में हमारा आत्म विकास समाया हुआ है. Just reflect which areas of our life today require this balance. Okay. So, little recap of what we discussed last time. We saw the 5 kleshas connected to the Kriya Yoga. In Kriya Yoga, we saw that Kriya Yoga is to be practiced for 2 things: for attainment of samadhi and also for attenuation or weakening of the kleshas. Now, we saw in detail how this Kriya Yoga works. And last time we did a little exercise just to understand the nature of kleshas, because kleshas are very important. So a little exercise was suggested that we take up any action done by us on any day and we reflect on the motivation which led us to that action. And when this motivation is traced, we may find behind this motivation there could be another motivation and yet another and yet another. We may go even 7, 8, 10 steps, and ultimately we find that somewhere most of our actions are connected to the kleshas. And this will also become clear if this reflection is done daily. Then we will be also able to find out which of the kleshas are operative, which of the kleshas are really strong in us. One thing is sure, that all the 5 kleshas are present. But some kleshas might be predominant, some kleshas might be influencing us more, depending on the kind of personality we have. So the strength of the kleshas will vary in each individual. We may have certain kleshas which are operating, and sometimes it may happen that one klesha is predominant, which is motivating and which is guiding all our actions. And our all activities oriented towards that kind of kleshas. So these kind of possibilities are there, because it is one thing to understand it intellectually, and another thing to really see its operation in our day-to-day life. And if this training is continued, then it may so happen that suppose we are going to perform some action, then we will immediately come to know which klesha is operating. Then it becomes possible to identify the kleshas. And once we become aware that this is the klesha which is operating or which is forcing me, which is nudging me, which is persuading me to do this action, or which is really, because what happens is most of the time these kleshas are only guiding us and kleshas are getting strengthened. So in Sutra 3, we saw that 5 kleshas are there: Avidya, Asmita, Raaga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha. And these kleshas, what they do is, two functions have been suggested and two functions have been mentioned. One of the function is that they create delusion, because they origin from the delusion, so they create wrong perception. So whenever we are under the influence of kleshas, our perceptions will not be right, but they will be wrong. And we have to understand that if the perception itself is wrong, then all our assessments, all our understanding, all our judgments, they will go wrong, because those judgments are based on the wrong notion. They are based on untruth, or they are based on totally wrong notions. So the perception goes wrong. That is the basic functions of the kleshas. And the other is that they are responsible for continuation of the sway of the gunas. Now, this sway of the gunas is very, very important. And if we have to understand this sway of gunas, the entire process of life is based on this sway of gunas. Gunas are evolving. Gunas are, as they call it, they keep on giving rise to newer and newer things. There is no end to what gunas can produce. So gunas will go on playing, they will play that role, they will go on producing. So in our life, if we see, when we are full of desires, when we are full of these kleshas, then because of the desires we have, we go on creating newer and newer situations for ourselves. And newer situations would mean newer difficulties we are creating. So in a way, it is the kleshas which are responsible for we creating our life situations which are troublesome, which are painful. So this is known as Sansara Chakra. So what is that Sansara Chakra? Later on in chapter 4, in one of the sutras, a very, very beautiful depiction is there. Those who have this Aranya's book, they can have a look there. You know, there is a figure of Sansar Chakra. So there is a wheel. That wheel has got 6 spokes. And what are those 6 spokes? The 6, that is, one is the, when we are doing actions, whatever actions we are performing, the actions are based on virtue and vice. The actions are good or bad. Based on good and bad actions, we will get sukha or we will get dukkha. And when we get sukha or dukkha, we are creating raga and dvesha. When raga and dvesha are present, the actions are again done, and those actions are again of papa and punya. So papa, punya, sukha, dukkha, raga, dvesha. These are the 6 spokes which are making the wheel run. So our life's wheel is running and it is moving because of these 6 spokes which are there. And at the center of the wheel is the axle, because any wheel cannot run without axle. And what is that axle? The axle is avidya. So avidya is the root cause of everything. Avidya is what is running the show. So today's sutra is related to that. This sutra reads, Avidya Kshetra Uttaresham Prasupta Tanu Vicchinno Dharanam. So Avidya Kshetra, so Kleshas, they are referring to the Kleshas. Earlier in Sutra 3, Avidya, Asmita, Raaga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha, 5 Kleshas have been talked about. And out of that, Avidya Kshetra Uttaresham. Avidya is the breeding ground for the other 4. So which other 4? Asmita, Raaga, Dvesha, and Abhinivesha. So for them, Avidya is the breeding ground. That means where they grow, where the other 4 kleshas grow, they grow in the ground of avidya. If avidya is not there, no klesha can survive. The basic characteristics of klesha is that it is full of avidya. It is full of wrong perception. So avidya kshetram uttaresham. Kshetra means field. A field where a farmer is growing his crop. That is known as kshetra. जिसको हम लोग बोलेंगे खेती, फार्म. तो अविद्या इज द फार्म. और वो फार्म में क्या ग्रो होता है? वो फार्म में बाकी के क्लेश जो है वो ग्रो होते हैं. तो अविद्या क्षेत्रम उत्तरेशाम. उत्तरेशाम इज रिफरिंग टू द सब्सिक्वेंट 4 ones which are coming after avidya. So avidya kshetram uttaresham prasupta tanu vicchinno dharana. And these 4 and avidya, they, irrespective of what klesha it is, they have got 4 states. Which are those 4 states? The prasupta, tanu, vicchinna and udara. So we will see what are these prasupta, tanu, vicchinna and udara. So four stages of these kleshas have been mentioned. But talking about this sansara chakra, which is because of the gunas, because of the kleshas, the gunas are evolving. If the kleshas cease, the gunas will stop evolving. So the sansara will cease. If the kleshas are operative, the gunas will operate and the sansara will go on. So this is the sansara chakra which I talked about with 6 spokes. And this sansara chakra is quite similar to the sansara chakra given to us by Buddha. Of course, Buddha has gone in little more detail. So there are, instead of 6 components or 7 components of sansara chakra which I mentioned, in Buddha's sansara chakra there are 12 components. So some more specific items have been added. But again, you will find, surprisingly, Patanjali and Buddha, they talk in the same way. So Patanjali says Avidya is at the excel, Avidya is running the show. And if you see that 12 things which are there in Gautam Buddha's Sansara Chakra, there also Avidya is the main thing. So everything is traced to Avidya. So both these great persons, Patanjali and Buddha, who are the most practical philosophers and thinkers and existential thinkers, who are concerned with the human well-being, and they are not interested in really, deep philosophy, but more practical side of it. So that's why you'll find that entire Yoga Sutra is related to doing. Actions are there. We may read, we may discuss, we may philosophize, but it is not going to help us unless we practice yoga. And same way, Buddha also talks about, he said, why talk about philosophy? Do something. So right now you are in pain and you have to come out of the pain. So their concerns are same. So, and that's why perhaps their philosophies are also matching. Of course, in the ultimate analysis, when we talk about the ontology, philosophical term, ontology, where ultimate things are talked about, there might be difference. But as far as the sadhana part is concerned, there is a lot of similarity. And the root cause of everything, they are tracing to the same avidya. Avidya is the root klesha, which is for Buddha also, Buddhism also. All schools of Buddhism, avidya is the main thing. Same way in yoga, avidya is the main thing. So avidya kshetram uttaresham prasupta tanu vicchinna dharana. Avidya is the breeding ground. And because of this avidya, everything is going on. So now let us talk about the practical aspect of it, what 4 stages they are talking about. So they say kleshas are there in everybody. There is not a single exception in the world, in the universe, where the kleshas are not there. Everybody has the kleshas. Only thing is how strong they are and how attenuated they are. That is the important question. So what they are saying is that the difference is, one may say that if all the kleshas are in all of us, then why we are different? We are different because different kleshas are operating in different propensities and different intensities, as well as in what stage of performance, in what stage of appearance or manifestation they are. So kleshas may take 4 stages or 4 forms in a human personality. So what are these 4 forms or 4 stages? So these are the 4: Prasupta, Tanu, Vicchinna. Prasupta is dormant. Kleshas are lying dormant. That is Prasupta. Tanu means weakened kleshas, attenuated kleshas. Attenuated is the word which is used in the commentary. That means the kleshas have been thinned. Their density has been reduced. That means their strength has been reduced. They are weakened. That is the second stage. And the third stage is Vicchinna. Vicchinna means interrupted. So right now, if a kleshas is operating, then other kleshas are lying somewhere in the background, ready to pounce, ready to come back when this interruption is over. So that is third stage, interrupted kleshas. And fourth is Udara. Udara means manifested kleshas. Right now, if some klesha is operating and the Vishaya of that klesha is present, then all the kleshas are always operating because of the Vishayas. Their triggering factors are all the objects of the world. We'll see how these objects trigger the kleshas. So let us look at this first thing, which is Prasupta, dormant. Now in dormant also we will find there are two stages. One is the dormant in ordinary individuals and dormant in yogis who have worked on the kleshas. So Prasupta can be in two ways. In ordinary individual, Prasupta could be there. In yogis and the people who have worked on the kleshas, in them the dormant stage could be there. So right now in all of us, all the kleshas are operative, but right now they are lying dormant. Now suppose if I show something in which you are interested or which attracts you, the moment I show it to you, immediately there will be a change taking place in the mind. And there will be a desire arising in the mind that I should have it or I should eat it. Immediately, the moment you will see that object, immediately there will be a change taking place in the mind. And as a result, some dormant klesha, some prasupta klesha may come to surface. So it can be, seen in another example, how the dormant kleshas become operative. We may have, we may had a fight with some individual and we are not on good terms with somebody. We get irritated with that person, or we have got very bad memories with that person. Now what happens is that we are in a good mood and we are talking with friends, and suddenly that person comes before us. What happens? You look at that person, you are in good company, you are in good state of mind, you are enjoying and everything is fine, but suddenly that person comes in front of you. You have got lots of bad memories and anger towards him, resentment towards him. You had bad experiences with him. So the moment you see that person, the dormant klesha of anger or hatred or some kind of negative thought or propensity to hurt or something will arise in the mind, and in a second, in a moment, the mental state will completely change from a very pleasant and nice mental state. It will become a bad state of mind. Now this is ordinarily happen with everybody. Now here automatically, because of the sanskaras created by kleshas, each klesha is lying dormant. If it is lying dormant, that means it is in the potential form. And what is that potential form? It is in the form of sanskara. So this person has triggered something because of which the klesha which was dormant, it has now become active. It has become udara. So immediately our mind is filled with negativity, our mind is filled with anger. Same way, whenever we are looking at objects, these objects will keep triggering these kleshas, manifestation of the kleshas. It could be some kind of greed. It could be if we have attachment towards certain objects. I'll not go into the details, because if we go into the examples, several examples from day-to-day life can be given. Every day, hundreds of such events are there. Hundreds of such situations are arising where we are, we are getting influenced by certain objects and the kleshas are triggered. And those kleshas are making us act again in certain way. For example, a very simple thing, a person who's very fond of eating, he has had his meal and his stomach is full. But the moment he's talking to some friends and he's offered that dish, immediately the attachment towards that or the liking or the craving will arise. And even if his stomach is full, he will start eating. Now this is again very simple example where the dormant klesha is becoming udara. there are certain triggers, certain Vishayas are there. Now these, what are Vishayas? Vishayas are the objects related to senses. And these are objects which are also related to the Kleshas, because through senses we perceive those objects, and those Vishayas or those objects, they trigger something in our mind. As a result, the Klesha become operative. So this is the example of Udara. In ordinary individuals, this happens. So we have certain desires, we have certain cravings, we have certain fears, we hate certain situations, we have strong dislikes towards certain situations. And the moment some trigger is there, which reminds us of some unpleasantness which we have experienced earlier, immediately on seeing that object, unpleasant feeling will be triggered, the klesha will become operative in the mind, and our mental state will be completely changed. So if you remember when we did chapter 1, when we talk about klishta vrittis and aklishta vritti, so they say that what is yoga? Yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is control and stoppage of the vrittis. And what are these vrittis? Vrittis are the knowing states of mind, the cognitive states of mind. When we are perceiving, when we are experiencing, when we are knowing something, whenever we are knowing something, whenever we are perceiving something, whenever cognitive state is there, that means some kind of experience is taking place. We are knowing something. And if that knowing state could be klishta or that could be a klishta. The klishta will arise from wherever at the root of the vritti, if klesha is there, that vritti will be known as klishta vritti. So these klishta vrittis keep on arising. There are hardly any moments in our day-to-day living, unless we are working on it consciously, as we will see later. We are normally, we may claim that these are good states of mind. But even the good states of mind, so-called good states of mind, as we claim, might be based on the kleshas, and they might be strengthening the kleshas. So if he, a person is in a party, he is doing a lot of, he is enjoying, and he is laughing a lot. He's with friends, and he's enjoying a lot. And if you talk about klesha and other things, he may reject. I'm in a good state of mind. I'm very happy. But this happy state might be strengthening the kleshas. So it is not necessary that the happy states will be aklishta. That is the wrong understanding many times a yoga student may have. That if I am enjoying and I'm excited and I'm going through good time, that means I am in such a state which is free from the kleshas. But it might be strengthening the kleshas. The criteria is that whenever we are under the influence of some klesha, our senses will take over and they will make us do certain things habitually or by way of default. So whenever we are functioning in default, without thinking, without being aware, if we are doing certain actions, repetitive actions, under the influence of the kleshas, that means we are strengthening the kleshas. The sway of guna is increasing, the kleshas are increasing. Even if those states might be considered as good states or bad, or desirable states, because we like them. So we like certain states. So we have, throughout the day, we do something through which we can remain happy. I did something. I went for a movie. Oh, it was a great day. I went for a movie. Then what you did? Then I went out with friends, had a party in hotel. Now, apparently it may appear to be a very happy state of mind. But behind this, what is actually at stake is that somewhere the kleshas are being strengthened. If one is not doing this with awareness, one is not participating in the movie watching or with friends party in an aware manner, then the kleshas are being strengthened. So various objects are there in which the kleshas will become active. So from Prasupta, but otherwise they are dormant. Right now we are all angels. Okay. अभी हम लोग सब साधु हैं. क्यों अभी हम साधु हैं? क्योंकि हम सूत्र डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. तो अभी हम लोग एंजल्स हैं. थोड़ी देर के बाद में जब इस सूत्र क्लास खत्म होगा, उसके बाद जब हम उठ के बाहर जाएंगे, कोई मिलेगा, किसी का फोन आएगा, कुछ करेंगे, तभी पता चलेगा कि क्या हो रहा है. अभी तो हम लोगों का माइंड, तो अभी सभी क्लेश अभी डॉर्मेंट है, प्रसुप्त अवस्था में है. हमारे अंदर गुस्सा भी है, हमारे अंदर राग भी है, द्वेष भी है, हेट्रेड भी है, डिस्ट्रक्टिव टेंडेंसीज भी है, फियर्स भी हैं, रिजिडिटी भी है, और बहुत सारे रॉन्ग नोशंस हमारे अंदर हैं. ये सब हैं हमारे अंदर, पर अभी इस वक्त वो लोग डॉर्मेंट अवस्था में है. जैसे वो ट्रिगर आएगा, वो ट्रिगर अपने आप उसको ऊपर लेके आएगा. तो ये हो गया प्रसुप्ति अवस्था. लेकिन योगियों की जो प्रसुप्ति अवस्था है वो कैसी है? अब योगियों ने इसके ऊपर काम किया हुआ है, तो वो भी क्लेशों को डॉर्मेंट अवस्था में ले जा सकते हैं, वो भी क्लेशों को प्रसुप्त अवस्था में ले जा सकते हैं. पर प्रसुप्त अवस्था में ले जाने के पहले ये जो उन्होंने तनुकरण किया रहता है, और तनुकरण के बाद में दे हैव बीन एबल टू कंट्रोल देयर माइंड. तो इसीलिए उनके केस में प्रसुप्त क्लेश कैसे? क्लेश रहेंगे. See, we have to understand, kleshas are always there. Till our mind is not integrated, the kleshas are going to be part of the mind, because they are part of the structure. हमारा जो हार्डवेयर है, वो हार्डवेयर का हिस्सा है ये क्लेश. तो जब तक हार्डवेयर है तब तक क्लेश रहने वाले हैं. तो योगियों के केस में भी क्लेश तो रहेंगे, लेकिन उनके केस में क्या होगा कि जब ट्रिगर आएगा तो इट विल नॉट ट्रिगर द क्लेशas, they will not be going into the klishta state, they will not be going into klishta vrittis, but they will maintain the klishta vrittis. This is the difference between ordinary individual and a yogi. In ordinary individual, the prasupta kleshas may immediately come to surface, but in case of yogi, because he has consciously worked on it, the kleshas will not come. इसीलिए कभी कभी हम लोग देखते हैं, see, suddenly they come, automatically they come, without awareness they come. कभी कभी होता है कि a person may have a personality where he gets angry again and again, and his life is full of trouble, because of his anger he is getting lot of trouble in his life. He is fighting with everyone. जहाँ उसका काम होने वाला नहीं होगा, people hate him, people dislike him, his own family members may not like him because of his anger. And if you ask him, बाबा क्यों गुस्सा करते हो? मुझे पता नहीं है, गुस्सा आ जाता है मुझे. And this is not true only of that individual, this is true of all of us. हम जब कभी गुस्सा होते हैं तो गुस्से में आके जो कुछ करना है वो तो कर लेते हैं, लेकिन बाद में अगर हमको कोई पूछता है, या हम अपने आप को खुद भी पूछते हैं कि ये गुस्सा करने का कारण क्या था, तो तभी हम लोग ऐसा बोलते हैं कि नहीं, वो आ गया, मेरे को मतलब मालूम ही नहीं पड़ा कब कब कैसे गुस्सा आ गया, and I bursted out. Why we burst out? Because that awareness is not there. So this is how the prasupta kleshas can come. They are just waiting. एक बहुत बढ़िया एक example. Many years ago, I have been using this example at Yoga Institute since more than 25-30 years. तो एक न्यूज आइटम मैंने पढ़ा था बहुत साल पहले, and that time some excavation was going on in Egypt, and they found a new pyramid, and they entered the pyramid and they found lot of jewelry, lot of gold, lot of treasure was there, and to their surprise, what they found, they also found some seeds of maybe maize or maybe barley, some seeds they found. And it was reported that these seeds were preserved in such a good condition that these scientists and biologists and agriculturists and all the experts, they said, let us try if these seeds can germinate. And I don't know how true it is, but then what I'm going to convey, that will be conveyed by this idea very well. That when they tried